Bear down, Chicago Bears. We are in the cut. The Bears are set to dominate the NFC North going into the 2024 season. There's a lot of hyperbole. There's a lot of things that I'm giving you that are hyperbolic, if you will, because I am firmly of the belief that the Chicago Bears have done enough to level up this team in a way that we have not seen in a very, very long time. Now, if you like this type of content, please make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future content. As you noted, I've got, I tried to pretty things up here for you just a little bit to make sure that you guys are entertained. We keep evolving the show as we go. The punk rock stickers, of course, are here to stay. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, so, guys, we got to talk about the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams has become like a lightning rod for positive enthusiasm with the quote-unquote experts in football. But when Rome Odunze became that number 9 pick, the entire makeup of sentiment about the Chicago Bears suddenly changed. Then, when the Bears reached and grabbed Kiran Emagaji, people looked around and saw the hometown boy who people were so excited about, but also were looking at and had this impression that, you know, this guy's a real sort of anomaly in this draft because he looks the part, he appears to be something fantastic, but there's not enough analysis of him yet that this could be like the giant sleeper of the draft. Then the Bears reach out and get the best punter in the game, and the only person who doesn't like that is Mel Kiper. And then the Bears trade away a fourth round pick in 2025 for a fifth round pick in 2024, and they get Austin Booker. And when you start to look at what Austin Booker does, then you start to watch the tail of the tape and you start to get super excited. So the next thing you know, every analyst out there is starting to look. And by the way, the booking odds were 8.5 wins, which is not a winning record, by the way. However, those are rapidly changing with people coming forward saying, yeah, this is probably feeling more like a 9 or a 10 win team early on than what we were looking at before. The only person, by the way, ironically, and this is going to sound just unbelievable, but the only person who suddenly is doing everything that he can to dump on the Chicago Bears this time is LaShawn McCoy, the same LaShawn McCoy who told you 2 months ago and a month ago and 3 months ago and 4 months ago that the Bears have got to move on from Justin Fields, that the Bears are going to be way better if they move on from Justin Fields, a team that won 7 games, that went 7-10, that they would be just better if they brought in Caleb Williams. And now he's like, oh, I don't know. They may not be. I mean, you never know. While the rest of the people are like, what is wrong with you? Emmanuel Acho thinks that the Bears now one of the top 3 offenses in the NFC. Are they in the league? Probably not, but certainly top 10 conversation could be had prior to the season starting. We're going to have to see the product on the field before we really know what the Chicago Bears can do and what they offer. So we'll leave that unsaid for the moment, but starting to look like a lot of people are being swayed over by the Wonder Twins. So who are the Wonder Twins, you might ask? Of course, it's Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. They're going to be lockstep together at least for the next 4 years, most likely 5 years. So with that being the case, the question now becomes, who are they? What do they do? Are they as awesome as people keep letting on? Well, we're going to look at some statistics today. We're going to check it out. We're going to watch the AP grade the Chicago Bears draft. We're going to look around and we're going to kind of kick the tires, if you will, on this new dynamic. And we're going to see, like, does this add up? Are these guys as good as advertised? And if you like this type of content, guys, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell to be notified if you want to be notified every day of this of this type of content. Let's get into it. First of all, we got the Wonder Twins here. The question of the day, however, are these guys the kings of the North? So here's what happened in the draft over the last 2 weeks or so. The Detroit Lions revamped their secondary in free agency, and then brought in Terrion Arnold and Enos Rakestraw, cornerbacks. They brought in Giovanni Manu at tackle, a new running back in Sion Baki. They brought in Makai Wingo, who I was a fan of, defensive tackle, and then Christian Mahogany, who we've drafted multiple times over in our mock drafts. And, they start to sound like a good team. They have a better secondary than they did last season. They've got some pieces that might fit into this franchise. And you might have, a special guy in Vaki that ends up being, he's a good runner, he's a good receiver, and he's a good blocker. So Detroit actually did a good job of addressing their weaknesses. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, who brought in the first round Jordan Morgan. Then they brought in linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, defensive back Javon Bullard, running back Marshawn Lloyd, linebacker Teron Hopper, safety Evan Williams, offensive lineman Jacob Monk, Travis Glover at tackle, Ketan Oladapo at safety, quarterback Michael Pratt, and then cornerback Kalen King. They had a lot of draft picks. They had the most draft picks of any team, and they got a few different potential starters, and they got a little bit of depth. So the Green Bay Packers are still going to be a tough. They're still going to be a tough out in this division, but they're kind of throwing it out there just to see what they can do. But they also signed Xavier McKinney, so this team has made some upgrades, and we'll see how this manifests itself. But certainly, the Chicago Bears, with far fewer picks, did a much better job overall in getting some real impact players and potential future impact players. Minnesota Vikings took J.J. McCarthy, offensive linebacker or defensive end Dallas Turner, cornerback Kyrie Jackson, offensive tackle Walter Rouse, kicker Will Reichard, offensive lineman Michael Juergens, and then defensive lineman Levi Drake Rodriguez. A lot of that's prospect stuff. They had two great picks, J.J. McCarthy, which I think is a really good pick, and then Dallas Turner. You know what I mean? Then Dallas Turner ends up being that edge rusher, and Larry the Ding Dong. At every point, I've always said that I'm a Chicago Bears fan first, and I think that Justin Fields give the Bears a better shot at winning immediately, and that's what I was looking for, was immediate wins. The fact that Caleb Williams is here means that I'm going to support Caleb Williams, because the part that you don't listen to, that you don't like, is that I am a Chicago Bears fan before I'm a Justin Fields fan. If Justin Fields never steps foot on a Chicago field again, I don't care. What I care about is the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears quarterback is now Caleb Williams. So I either get on board or I find a new team, and I'm not finding a new team. So sit back down, put that pipe back in your mouth, or the binky, whatever it is that you use, and shh. So there you go. And I was opposed to drafting Caleb Williams with the first overall pick, feeling, in fact, that we would be better served by continuing with Justin Fields and increasing our draft capital. However, here we are. So make lemonade instead of crying like a baby. You know what I mean? So J.J. McCarthy, Dallas Turner, the Minnesota Vikings come in with a pretty good one. Then we get to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears take the number one quarterback in the draft, Caleb Williams. Doesn't matter what I think of him. Analysts think he's the number one quarterback in the league. And then reaching down at number 9, he starts to become available. Changes start to happen in their picks. And then suddenly we've got Roma Dunze falling into the lap. Then we pick up in the 3rd round, Kiran Emagaje. Then in the 4th round, Torrey Taylor. And then we reach out with a 4th round pick in 2025, trade it for a 5th round pick this year, and pick up Austin Booker. And when we look at Austin Booker, he's a depth piece right now, but a potential starter in the league. 6'3", 243 pounds, looks the part of, if he could put some size on, he's going to be one of those edge rushers that he has a constant motor. He never quits. A little bit undersized at this point, but if he's willing to gain some size and he's willing to do what he needs to do, then this team is going to end up being so much better. So there we have it. And now the AP NFL does a draft grade on the Chicago Bears. And what do? They give the Bears an A+. I'm just going to spoiler alert it for you right now. The AP Drafts gave the Arizona Cardinals an A, the Falcons a C-. Now, remember, we did this before. The only C's, there were two of them. They got a C+ for the Patriots and a C- because of the Michael Penix move for the Atlanta Falcons. But the only A+ given was the Chicago Bears. Getting Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze in the top 10 will help them compete for a playoff spot this season. Kiran Magaji provides more protection for Williams. Torrey Taylor, the best punter in the draft, a little early in the 4th, but still a good move overall. So we're looking great. We're looking like a good team, and we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Next, Bears are favored to win their first. The Bears have now been favored to have their first winning season since 2018. Chicago's over-under win total started at 8.5, and now it's at 9 on some bookers. So now you've got a winning season being projected. And Dobbsy says, I thought the Steelers had an A+ draft. In fact, there could be a few teams that are going to have, and it's going to be all about who evaluates the draft. Like, for example, everybody gave the Chicago Bears an A or an A+ or even an A-. Mel Kiper gave them a B. So, you know what I mean? So it is, a lot of this is opinion of what you think of a player. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out 2 years from now. 2 years from now, it's going to be real important to come back and redress this and see what did it look like. You know what I mean? It's been an offseason full of optimism in Chicago, primarily because of the arrival of quarterback Caleb Williams, but also because of 2 new receivers in Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, plus the signing of running back DeAndre Swift, giving the Bears a chance to be the explosive offense they haven't been in a very long time. The betting odds suggest the Bears are still the 3rd best team in the NFC North, with the Lions as the favorite, followed by the Packers, then the Bears, and then the Vikings. So, and like I told you before, I think the wins against the Viking at this point are automatic. I don't think that I think we made tremendous moves towards the upside. I think we're far better than the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings come in as a better team this year. The Lions might come in as a better team. And other than that 4-minute and 54-second disgusting end of game where we suddenly gave up, which, by the way, I don't think this happens with this new Bears offense. I don't think that we just concede points and try to stay ahead based on some early game planning. I don't think that ends up being the same thing. And I think that the Bears have, obviously, at the 28-13 win that we had towards the end of the season, I think the Bears actually had the Lions number. And I think that we were the superior team and match up very well line to line. So I think that the Bears are going to find that they're better than the Lions. Now, are they better overall? I don't know the answer to that. Time is the only thing that's going to answer that, but I think that they are better than the Detroit Lions at this point and better than the Minnesota Vikings right now. And then you have the Green Bay Packers. Now, look, they won the final game. They won the first game 38-20, but they won the second game 17-9. Which in my opinion means that the gap kind of closed. And that was a testament to the fact that our offense was just not good, that Justin Fields was not doing the best job of guiding that offense. Luke Getsy was not doing the best of calling the right plays that put us in positions to be successful. So can that change? And that will be the question going forward. Are we better now because of if we've made some changes, if we've adapted just a little bit, does that mean that this team is now overall in a better position? And I think the answer to that is going to be yes. I do think that the answer to that is a resounding yes. But, I mean, obviously we'll see whether or not that bears out or not. Bears out. See what I did there? So anyway, the Bears are favored to have their first winning season, and that's the important part. People are recognizing what is going on. So now that we're in there, let's talk about Caleb Williams. And we're going to talk advanced stats. Now, most of the stats for Caleb Williams show that, in this season, about a 70% passer in college, a total career by the way, 67%, but 70% last year, 3,633 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 97 rushes, 142 yards rushing, only rushed for about a 1.5 yard average. So he's not a runner by proxy. We're not talking about a guy who's going to run the ball a lot, but he did light it up when he was able to do it, and he had 11 rushing touchdowns. So when we account for Caleb Williams, we're accounting for a guy who likes to pass. Okay, he likes to make those passes. Now, let's talk about the positives. Accuracy, strong legs, polished footwork, varying arm angles. Mahomes-esque is the word that they use for that. He's able to read the full field. Anybody who says, oh, he only reads like half of the field or something like that, they're not paying attention. They're not watching. They're cherry-picking pieces that they don't like it. You know what I mean? So savvy eye discipline, live and talented arm, made anticipatory throws, and he was the big playmaker when he has to run. Dynamic weapon in the RPO. Will we use that very much? We'll see. Does not miss a game. Didn't miss a game throughout his career in college. So also a lot of toughness. Now, concerns people had: he doesn't have the desired height. He's only 6'1", but he plays like he's pretty. NFL teams are very comfortable with his size right now, so it's not a big deal. He only had 48 snaps under center, so the question is, can he play in the pocket? And that's why he did most of his pro scouting day in the pocket. There was an absence of tight window throws where plays where he threw the receiver open. But here's the thing: when you have receivers who are just always open, then you don't have to throw receivers open. You can just make throws to the receivers. Now, you can make an argument that, in some of these big games, he could have done a better job of that. But let me go back and say that, in watching more and more tape of Caleb Williams, he would snap the ball and just immediately be under duress. That their offensive line was that bad. He was not very good because he was being forced, and he quite honestly was a wizard for what it was that he was doing. But against good defensive lines, he was running for his life most of the time. So he does like to go for the big play a lot. So big play capabilities, if you have receivers who can make the big plays, if you have receivers and you have some protection, maybe that's to the positive. But for right now, when you don't have that, it is to the negative. And he had a below average offensive line. Now, advanced stats, things that you need to know about him. Over 3 seasons, he threw 12.1% of his targets to running backs and 72.5% to wide receivers and 9.7% to tight ends. And that's by design in the air raid offense that he was running. He had 3 successful final drive comebacks in college. Of his 24 wins as the team's primary quarterback, 15 were by more than 1 score. Of his 10 losses, 4 were by 1 score with 2 failed final drive comeback attempts. Among the big 5 prospects in the draft, which is Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, and Michael Penix, he was tied for second best in off-target rate, second in yards per pass attempt and touchdown rate, third in completion rate and rate of passes of plus 20 yards, third in interception rate, and also had the lowest average depth of target at 8.5 yards. The 2 metrics where he led the big 5 is he had the highest sack rate and he was blitzed more than anybody else. He was also credited with getting pressured on 102 pass attempts and 33.3% of his dropbacks. He was getting pressured. He completed 47.1% of those with a 15.7% off-target rate. Both pretty good for the top 5 for 7.2 yards per attempt. Of an 8.6 ADOT, which is the lowest among the big 5, and a 7.8 touchdown rate. When pressured and throwing short, he had a 39% completion ratio, which is a mystifying number. However, it was better than Michael Penix, which was 35%, and Drake May, which was only 31%. When Williams wasn't pressured and tried passes of 15-plus air yards, he was the top 12 in the nation in completion rate, but still no better than third among the Big Five. And overall, his seventh best in the nation completion rate of 15% air yards, 17.2% touchdown rate, which was in the top 10 of all quarterbacks. Off-target throws, he was also, and his interception results were very low. He had 4 throws over 50, and over the past 2 seasons, 159 air yard to Jordan Addison that was overthrown. He had another 24 pass attempts over the last 2 seasons. On quick throws, he completed 81.2%. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. On quick throws, that's 2.5 seconds or less in the pocket, which is unheard of for Justin Fields, unfortunately. But on quick throws, he was 81.2% accurate on his throws, 8.2 yards. So, this guy's got fantastic reflexes to make quick throws. In the red zone, he completed 67% of his throws with a 25.45% touchdown rate. Everything about him in the red zone, except his touchdown rate, was the best of those Big Five quarterbacks. He was not intercepted in the red zone in 2023, and only once in 3 seasons and 178 pass attempts in the red zone. He does not turn the ball over when it's time to score. That's the important thing that we're considering here. Not, look, we can go back and relitigate. Justin Fields didn't get the ball in the end zone, not nearly enough. We had big plays, we had spectacular plays sometimes, but we didn't get the ball in the end zone enough. We didn't score enough, and this perhaps fixes that problem. Now, there are some accuracy problems that people like to bring up, but 68.6% completion ratio probably quells a little bit of that. And when you're making comparison, he has an avoided tackle rate of 16% and an explosive rush rate of 9.3%, which was not very good because he's not a runner anymore and hasn't been able to really take advantage of, and hasn't had a need to take advantage of, his athleticism in that position. And by the way, I did make myself a new Rome Odunze. By the way, that was if you're wondering about that picture right there, it's Rome Odunze, but it was Trent Taylor originally. So I took Rome Odunze in a helmet facing the same way as Trent Taylor. I got similar pictures, and then I just made sure that everything fit. So now we have a Rome Odunze with number 15 out here right now. So there we are. Dude, if you're just going to keep crying, you can go somewhere else. Like, good Lord, grow up. Anyway, Rome Odunze. Impressive frame, 6'3", 215 pounds. Incredibly strong grip strength and reliable hand. 92nd percentile catch rate. His grip strength shows up at any time he extends his frame to pluck the ball out of the air. He demonstrated short, intermediate, and vertical traits that allow him to make catches all over the field. He's got the best contested catch rate in the class, with an absurd 75% of contested catches being caught. He's already got a release package to create separation off the line of scrimmage. Now, remember, that is one of his complaints. That's one of his complaints, that he has to create separation, and he doesn't do a great job of creating separation. However, that's considered one of his strengths. Matt Harmon at Reception Perception charted that Odunze has having a 92nd percentile success rate against press coverage. So when they say he's not creating separation, that's not true. So elite body control, elite leaping ability, better than advertised catches on screen, and passes around the line of scrimmage due to his spatial awareness. He has a 4.47 times speed, but he's the ability to tempo his routes, and you can see a few of them where he takes a few little stutter steps and weird things to break people and create separation with that move. Like you can see him like do this shuffle thing where it looks like he's kind of slowing down, and as soon as the cornerback makes a move to try to get into the space, then bam, he's gone. it's actually really interesting to watch. Plenty of examples of him showing late hands, which makes it difficult for trailing cornerbacks to play the football in the air, which is very, very interesting. Like, what this guy does is fantastic. He goes out there and he's looking at the ball and he's not holding his hands out to catch the ball. So the cornerback has no awareness of of getting into it and stopping him from catching the ball. And then he just reaches his hands out at the end of it before the cornerback can make that move, and boom, makes the catch. He plays inside and outside, so he might be the slot guy on this team. Of course, he might also be the X or the Z. We don't know yet. There is some talk that Keenan Allen might be the slot man, so because he's a possession receiver. So we'll see. We'll see which way they go with this. I'm certainly going to be interested. And I think to be fair, like, I think everybody's just kind of. I think we're going to kind of move people around. I think you'll see some slot play from both of those guys. It'd be interesting also to see maybe DJ Moore even plays a little bit of slot, just to mix it up and get people guessing what the next play is. I wonder if Shane Waldron, by the way, is going to mix that up. Now, the concerns for Rome are that he doesn't have that next level speed. He doesn't have that Malik Neighbors type of wow, or that Xavier Worthy wow you kind of speed. There's not a lot of, they didn't do a lot of slants, and they didn't do like he doesn't go across the field very well. So you don't see him going across the middle. So there's going to be a question of toughness until he really starts to make those moves to the interior of NFL defenses, and we'll see how he holds up on that. He's not sudden, he's not explosive. So in as far as his advanced stats, there's not a lot to not like about Rome, in fact. So advanced stats, led all college receivers in deep catches with 23 and deep yards with 783, drew a college football best 9 pass interference penalties, led all of college football in contested catches with just 21, 92nd percentile catch rate, only dropped 3 passes in 2023. Explosive play rate was 31.3, which was ahead of Neighbors, but it was behind Marvin Harrison. Forced 15 missed tackles, which was 35th best among all college football receivers, and led all college football with 20 end zone targets. And the targets are earned, of course, is what they say. But when you compare him, they do some favorable comparison, say that he compares to somebody like a Devontae Adams, which, I mean, I'll take that, even though he was a Green Bay Packer. You know what I mean? Anyway, so on the X, let's get into what's happening on the X. And we've got some evaluation of Austin Booker showing how crazy good he was at making some plays here. You can see here, he's just getting back in the backfield. And this is, I guess, so the East-West kind of shrine games, it looks like. And he's just coming right in, making a name for himself on the field. So Austin Booker, definitely one of those guys. Next up, we've got one person who's talking about potential free agents that we're looking for. Calais Campbell, 49 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. He's going to be 38 during the upcoming NFL season, but his experience could add a huge burst to the could add a huge boost to the defensive line. He can play both 3 technique and nose tackle, so it very well could be that we see somebody like Calais Campbell come in here and be one of those guys that just kind of asserts himself into this team and helps bring Gavon Dexter along, bring Zach Pickens along, bring Andrew Billings along, maybe even mentor somebody like Montez Sweat. Austin Booker for sure would be interesting to see if somebody like that comes along. Of course, there is still talk. Yannick Ngakoue, unsigned, could end up being out there and available. 8.5 sacks every season until now. Also, if you want to go check it out, Colin Cowherd says that the Bears upgraded the most in all of the NFL. Additionally, the Kyle Brandt, these guys came out here and they talked for 4 minutes. You have to watch it yourself. I keep getting copyright striked if I do this. So certainly go check it out. They did say that that this is the team that upgraded itself the most. And then This is a little video of DeAndre Swift. This is just another year Chicago, and they're showing, what DeAndre Swift can do. Fantastic guy, and I would suggest that you go check it out because when you watch it and you watch the highlight reels, watch the low light reels too, by the way. Don't just get caught up in what somebody looks like at their best. Look at what they look like at their worst as well. Are those the boneheaded mistakes? Are those the, you know what I mean? So look at those things, see how these guys play, get an analysis for yourself. Like, go watch the tape and figure it out. Don't just watch what somebody's telling you to watch. You will find out that DeAndre Swift a lot better than people who are low on him would have you believe. Next up, no changes over here on the defensive line or anything like that because it really, at best, Austin Booker at this point, I added him up there onto the thing as, a potential swap guy with DeMarcus Walker. Now, we were told that he prefers the left side, so he might be the guy subbing in for Montez Sweat, giving him some relief. But it's going to be really interesting to see what it looks like when Montez Sweat and Austin Booker are out there together. And first of all, when Austin Booker gains a little bit more size and gets to NFL playing level, what that looks like could be a very exciting thing. But for right now, DeMarcus Walker, and there is some video of DeMarcus Walker. He is already practicing hard this season. I really have I just got a good feeling about DeMarcus Walker. And then, of course, we've got this is the lineup for the offense right now. There's still 12 guys on the field. I'm not changing the 12 guys on the field for the moment. And DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and then you have Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. Now, of course, not everybody here can be on the at the same time. So on obvious passing plays when there's no running back, then it's going to be everybody but DeAndre Swift. On normal plays, you're going to be looking at a variation between 3 wide receiver and 2 wide receiver sets. We do have a 3rd wide receiver on the roster, but I don't, 3rd tight end on the roster, I'm sorry, but I don't think that he's going to get a whole lot of playing time. I don't think that he's going to be that guy, if you will. But this is what everything looks like. This is the team that we've got. And there might be a few free agency signings. There might be a few moves that are made over the next couple of months. But I think, generally speaking, that we have nailed it, if you will. That this team certainly starts to look like a much better team. Michael Klein says teams are not going to know how to defend the Bears. It'll take a few games for defenses to. It is my opinion that it's going to take a few games for the teams to catch up to the Bears. That, I think they're going to surprise a few people early on. I would like to see one of those easy games that, we think is going to be a loss, like a Green Bay or something like that. I would like to see one of those fairly early on before there's a book written, you know what I mean, on how to play the Bears or how to defend the Bears, before there's real game tape on what to expect. I would like to see one of those games that we don't really think right now, maybe we still got some room to grow, if you will. I would like to see that happen early, just to kind of get a testament to how good are we or are we not, so that we know what it's going to look like, and we can get better from there. When has a USC quarterback had success in the NFL? I don't know why that's guys, sometimes you make the wildest points when you don't like somebody. I do the same thing, by the way. I made plenty of points about Caleb Williams, crying to his mom and stuff like that. I made plenty of points, but they're ridiculous points. And you do that for engagement, not because it's true. When has a USC quarterback had success in the NFL? Who cares? I mean, here, up until a couple years ago, no Louisville quarterback had success. And now Lamar Jackson's got 2 MVPs. Can't win a playoff game, but he's got 2 MVP trophies. It's not about where you came from. It's about who your coaches are and what your talent level is. And if you're looking at the talent level for Caleb Williams, then it translates well to the NFL. Does not mean that he's going to be fantastic. Does not mean that he's going to be great. But it does mean that he has a possibility. Ask CJ Stroud about Ohio State quarterbacks. I mean, there you go. Ohio State quarterbacks not having the greatest run of it. Oh, God damn it. You know what? I just said that, and then I realized Johnny Unitas was from Louisville too. So one of the greatest all-time old guy quarterbacks was also from Louisville. So before Lamar Jackson, there was really only one quarterback out of Louisville that did very well. And look, they had Brian Brom, they had Jeff Brom, they had Browning Nagel, all guys that got in the NFL, just never did very good. There's there's a few. It's system. There's a system, and then there's a drive that you have to have. USC gets talented quarterbacks. They're not, they're just not great. Steelers bench that way. BD, bear down, baby. Are you kidding? Carson Palmer was a stud. I'm going to actually go with Larry on this one. I think Carson Palmer actually had a pretty good, he was a pretty decent guy. What's great is that all three could play all spots. I think so. I think it's going to be fantastic to see how this gets. And by the way, when do we see Gerald Everett show up in the slot or something like that? I mean, like, there's a lot of mismatches that this team is going to be able to expose and take advantage of. And something that we should probably recognize before, there were no mismatches last year. There's no mismatch when you put your best player on DJ Moore. You either win or you lose. But there are mismatches when you put a really good cornerback, and you have two good cornerbacks, and you put them on Darnell Mooney, and now Mooney can't get open because he's a jet, and that's all he does. He didn't, he wasn't able to create the separation that was needed. Having Justin Fields as a quarterback didn't help, but he wasn't able to create the separation to get the opportunity. And Tyler Scott just still too raw, still too new. Same thing, you put some safeties or you put a nickel on him, and he can't get open. But now you've got guys who can get open in all of this. You got Cole Kmet who can get open, but now you got Gerald Everett along with him. And Mercedes Lewis was not able to get open. Mercedes Lewis had a few catches last season, but he's primarily a big-time blocker guy. So the dynamic of this team is different. Now, the one piece that I don't think was incredibly upgraded was DeAndre Swift. I like what I see from DeAndre Swift. I'm not saying, by the way, that I don't appreciate DeAndre Swift, but I think between Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, I think they're a very capable backfield to begin with. I don't think that I think DeAndre Swift is an interesting upgrade and potentially a really good one. However, at this point, I still like Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson quite a bit. So I don't think there was I don't think that was as big an upgrade as the rest of it, but he does catch a lot of passes. So having him out there instead of Khalil Herbert is a benefit. Oh, damn, I'm allergic to your bullshit. Look at that. But otherwise, I think Roschon Johnson probably going to look. I think, by the way, Khalil Herbert is probably expendable at this point because of DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson both being really good. Caleb Williams says, what college you come from doesn't mean nothing, dude. Ohio State quarterbacks don't pan out in the NFL. Look what CJ did. Don't think Caleb can't be the first USC quarterback to tear up the league. Exactly. It really has nothing to do with where you come from. It does have something to do with who your coach is. I'm not a fan of Lincoln Riley and his system, but look, I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. I'm not a fan of Kyler Murray. It's not about Lincoln Riley. It's about that I don't respect that air raid offense sort of system as it translates into the NFL. It doesn't make quarterbacks ready for the NFL. More pro-style teams end up having, I think, in my estimation, like Michigan, by the way, they end up having probably more solid quarterbacks in the NFL. And I mean, you can look around and you can make an argument, but pro style probably better suited. So, and I don't see much pro style coming out of USC. Well, you know what? Actually, I did. What is his name? Matt Leinart. I think Matt Leinart was pretty much a pro style guy. He just wasn't very good. Even no matter how good he looked on the field, when you're a better team in a weak division, with the Pac-12 guys, we can look at the Pac-12 today and we can say, oh, look, they've got Washington, they've got Oregon, they've got Stanford, they've got, what I mean? You can make a list of all those teams. Those teams weren't bullshit 20 years ago. So they were not good. They had one good season and then they'd fall back to mediocrity, and then they'd have another good season and fall back to mediocrity. USC is always there. So, it's a different level of competition. It's not the SEC, that's for sure. Anyway, I think Roschon Johnson will have a big year. I do too. I think that he's going to feel like, I think we're going to look at Roschon Johnson and we're going to see him just absolutely blow up this season. Even though DeAndre Swift's going to get a lot of snaps, I think Roschon Johnson is just going to ball out and he's going to show out. He's that guy. He's that rookie, the rookie that's going to make that big leap. Tyler Scott, that rookie that might make that big leap. You know, there might be some guys on this team that create depth that, you know, we were looking at as starters last year that may just end up being exactly what this team needs, so that there's no fall off when we're, you know, when we're out here on the field. Like I'm super excited about everything that's going on right now. So let me know what you think, guys. Make sure you leave a comment on the video. We're gonna get out of here for the day. I hope you like the background music. I wanted to put on something in the background just to kind of change up the monotony. I don't think DeAndre Swift is all that good, to be honest. I don't know that he is or is not. I know that I like what I see on the tape. I know that I like, I don't think that he's bad. I mean, I'll say that. I don't think that he's mistake prone. I don't think that he's bad. He's kind of low to the ground. He's got big legs. He breaks tackles. He's got great acceleration. He's got good hands. He's got everything that you want in a running back in this league. It's just a question of, is he properly utilized? And if he is, you know, what does that end up looking like? If Caleb can play near his college play style in the NFL, we're going crazy. Oh, he's not going to do that. You get destroyed. He'll get destroyed. That will not work. You cannot play at the level that he was. You can't do that. He'll end up. That would be a disaster, and NFL teams would feast on the Chicago Bears. He's going to have to develop a pocket presence, a pro style, having some of those. Look, you're getting Caleb Williams for what he can do with his arm. You're getting what he can do with looking down the field and completing his read progressions and finding the guy that's open. You're not paying for that crazy shit that he does behind the line. You're not paying for him to just start to wing it. You're paying for him to do that maybe 2 or 3 times a game, to just do a little bit, to keep a play alive, to keep a drive going. When you see an easy opportunity, you know, for example, if let's just say, for example, nobody spies Caleb Williams, right? If you don't have a spy on Caleb Williams, then that means you're not keeping him honest. Make him run the ball, make him go get a few first downs, then create a spy. And then when the team starts to go for the spy, that's when you open up the downfield game. You're just playing against them. And Shane Waldron is a guy who can recognize those kind of nuances and make and adapt to that sort of play style of creating opportunities based on that. So when you need him, he'll be there. But the fact that he can do what you want him to do like that you just want him to be, you just want that. You don't want to use the bullet. You just want people to know that it's in the chamber. You know what I mean? So he's got the legs to make a few plays. He'll need to make a few plays to keep defenses honest and respect him. So there is a possibility that he has 100 or so yard rushing game a couple of times early on in his career, just so people know, ooh, we're going to have to pay attention to this cat as he runs. He's very elusive and he can make these plays. So you have to be honest with him. So if that happens, you know, we're going to be good. So anyway, that's my time, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Until then,